Many chase thrills to feel alive, but some pay the ultimate price. In this video, we explore 5 of the most disturbing deaths caused by extreme hobbies taken too far. From deadly stunts to obsessive pursuits, these stories reveal how the line between passion and danger can vanish in an instant, leaving only grief behind. In 2018, during a lively medieval reenactment event in Williamstown, Kentucky, Peter Barkley, a 53-year-old veteran and devoted knight reenactor, faced a moment that would change everything in an instant. Known among peers as Master Terraphan Grey Dragon, Peter was performing a daring mounted skill that required sharp focus and precision. But what began as a display of skill quickly turned into a nightmare, an unexpected and devastating accident that left the crowd horrified and shattered the peaceful illusion of the past. Peter Barkley was a man deeply committed to history and the pursuit of living it. Born and raised in Las Cruces, New Mexico, he graduated from New Mexico State University before embarking on a distinguished career in the United States Army. Over the course of more than 2 decades of service, Peter rose to the rank of lieutenant colonel, serving in various international postings, including 4 years stationed in England and another 4 in Germany. His military experience intertwined with his passion for medieval history, enriching his appreciation and understanding of the era he loved to reenact. Following his retirement from the Army, Peter devoted himself fully to the Society for Creative Anachronism, also known as SCA, an organization dedicated to researching and recreating the arts and skills of pre-17th century Europe. For over 30 years, he immersed himself in medieval sports and historical reenactments, earning respect as a regional equestrian master and operating under the persona Master Terraphan Grey Dragon. His dedication extended beyond participation. He maintained a website focused on recreating life in the 14th century and was known for his meticulous attention to detail and safety. On a Saturday in October 2018 in Williamstown, Kentucky, Peter was competing in an equestrian skill-at-arms competition at an SCA event. The demonstration involved using a metal-tipped lance not for jousting, but designed to catch rings or spear objects while mounted. That day, Peter attempted to spear a paper plate placed on the ground as part of the performance. In a sudden and unfortunate turn, his lance struck the ground and flipped upward unexpectedly. The lance rebounded with force and impaled Peter under his sternum, piercing his chest in a critical injury. Immediate efforts were made to provide medical assistance. Peter was airlifted from the event site to the University of Cincinnati Medical Center in Hamilton County. Despite rapid emergency intervention, the injuries proved fatal. He died en route to the hospital, leaving the crowd and fellow reenactors in stunned disbelief. John Fulton, president of the SCA, described the accident as unprecedented and deeply shocking, highlighting Peter's exceptional skill and commitment to safety. The Hamilton County Coroner's Office listed the cause of death as accidental, pending further autopsy. The Society for Creative Anachronism issued an official statement expressing their profound sorrow and support for Peter's family. They acknowledged the loss of their equestrian marshal and announced an ongoing investigation aimed at understanding the factors leading to the accident. The goal of this inquiry was to prevent similar tragedies during future events, ensuring safer conditions for participants who share Peter's passion. Peter's passing resonated deeply within his family and the broader reenactment community. He was survived by his wife, Deborah, and their 2 daughters, Amy and Tareth. His brothers John and Charles, as well as his father, Jack, also mourned the loss of a beloved family member. Plans for memorial ceremonies included both private family gatherings and a larger celebration organized by the SCA, anticipated to draw attendees from around the world who knew Peter as a respected leader and friend. Though the accident was sudden and tragic, those who knew Peter found some solace in the fact that he died, engaged in an activity he loved most, bringing history to life through his lifelong passion. His legacy endures through the community he helped shape and the dedication he showed to the craft of medieval reenactment. On May 31, 2013, Tim Samaras, a 54-year-old engineer and veteran storm chaser, was tracking a powerful tornado in El Reno, Oklahoma, with his 24-year-old son Paul and longtime colleague Carl Young. Known for their caution, precision, and deep scientific expertise, the trio was collecting data from inside tornadoes as part of their research. But on that day, as they filmed one of nature's most violent forces, their pursuit ended in tragedy, an encounter with a monster storm that no one could have predicted would take such a devastating turn. Tim had spent decades in pursuit of severe weather, not for the thrill but for science. A Colorado native, he was captivated by tornadoes from a young age. His interest eventually evolved into a career at the forefront of atmospheric research. As the founder of Twistex, or Tactical Weather Instrumented Sampling in Tornadoes experiment, Tim developed cutting-edge instruments designed to capture critical storm data. His innovations earned him 18 National Geographic Society research grants and worldwide recognition for his pioneering work in storm and lightning research. His son Paul, a gifted photographer and videographer, had begun joining him on storm-chasing missions, documenting their work from the field. Carl, a 45-year-old meteorologist who had left a career in Hollywood to study tornado dynamics, had worked closely with Tim since 2003. Together, the team had intercepted over 125 tornadoes, pushing the boundaries of what was known about storm behavior. Their goal was always the same: to gather information that might save lives. That Friday evening in May 2013, they were documenting a massive EF3 tornado, a tornado capable of causing severe damage just west of Oklahoma City. The storm, unpredictable and violent, expanded with alarming speed, widening from 1 mile to 2.6 miles in less than a minute. Winds reached up to 295 miles per hour. At 6:23 p.m., the storm took a sudden left turn and accelerated. Visibility was poor, with heavy rain and debris masking its true size. As the storm's internal subvortices, meaning its areas of extreme wind within the tornado, rotated outward, they caught the Twistex vehicle in their path. According to radar data, the tornado was the widest ever recorded. The vehicle carrying Tim, Paul, and Carl was hit directly by a subvortex. The force crushed their white truck beyond recognition and threw it hundreds of yards. Before the impact, there was a chilling calm around them, a sign they had entered the tornado's most violent core. In their final moments, they could be heard on the radio acknowledging the danger, just seconds before the storm overtook them. Their deaths marked the first known instance of professional storm chasers being killed by a tornado. The news sent shockwaves through the meteorological and storm-chasing communities. Many had considered Tim to be among the most careful and experienced in the field. Friends and colleagues described him as brilliant, cautious, and deeply committed to his work. Carl was remembered for his passion and intellect, and Paul for his growing talent behind the camera and his closeness with his father. Their loss prompted intense reflection across the storm-chasing community. Colleagues questioned the increasing proximity of chasers to tornadoes and the risks involved in capturing storm footage and data. A major investigation into storm chaser practices was launched, and a memorial was erected at the site of the tragedy. Though later vandalized, the site remains a somber tribute to those who died in pursuit of knowledge. The trio's legacy continues through their contributions to tornado science. Tim's instruments recorded data that changed the understanding of tornado dynamics, and his dedication inspired countless others to approach storm research with both respect and rigor. Their final mission, conducted while filming for scientific study, is a powerful reminder of both the beauty and brutality of nature and the human cost of confronting it so closely. A young couple's quiet weekend away turned into a heartbreaking tragedy that left a community changed and a family without answers. Victoria McCloy, 22, and Jeffrey Bignell, 20, a young couple, had a shared love of nature and adventure, but their final fishing trip along Western Australia's treacherous south coast would end in devastation, with only one of their bodies ever making it back home. Victoria and Jeffrey, both from Northam, were passionate about fishing and familiar with the Albany area, where they had lived previously. Jeffrey, known as a kind and energetic young man, had recently developed a growing love for fishing. He worked with his brothers building sheds and was also an avid BMX rider. Victoria, a woman with a bright spirit and a close relationship with her family, had a warm personality and a deep bond with Jeffrey. Together, they enjoyed spending weekends outdoors. Both of them were well aware of the dangers posed by rock fishing along Australia's rugged coastline. One weekend in November 2019, the couple drove Victoria's Holden Barina from Northam to Torndirrup National Park, a coastal region known for its scenic beauty but also its perilous cliffs and unpredictable surf. Their destination was Bald Head, a remote section of the park where Jeffrey had previously attempted to catch a prized blue groper. Surveillance footage from a local store that morning captured them purchasing essential fishing gear, including a gaff and 15 meters of 9mm rope, possibly intended as a safety anchor or to help retrieve fish. They were last seen around 10:53 a.m. that Saturday. Victoria texted her mother later that evening, confirming their arrival. The couple set up a small campsite near Isthmus Beach, a rocky outcrop characterized by low, smooth rock faces and sudden drops. Swells that day reached up to 4 meters, dangerously high for even the most experienced fishers. At some point during their outing, one or both were either swept off the rocks by a powerful king wave or slipped on the wet surface. Police believe that Jeffrey fell into the ocean first and that Victoria likely entered the water in an attempt to save him. Victoria and Jeffrey were filming social media content during the trip. A photograph recovered from Victoria's phone showed Jeffrey fishing on the rocky ledge. A video shared on social media captured during a previous visit had shown him struggling to reel in a large fish he described as a monster. The couple wore anti-slip boots and had taken safety precautions, but in the face of such extreme conditions, these measures were not enough. When the couple failed to return to Northam, concern quickly mounted. On November 25th, a concerned relative drove to the Bald Head car park and found Victoria's vehicle still parked. Authorities launched an extensive land, air, and sea search that lasted several days. The next day, searchers discovered a backpack containing keys, Victoria's anti-slip boots, and fishing gear at the rocky ledge near Isthmus Beach. On November 29th, Jeffrey's body was recovered from West Isthmus Beach. A post-mortem confirmed drowning as the cause of death. Victoria's body, however, was never found. Cold water temperatures in the area, approximately 17 degrees Celsius, meant her survival window would have been no more than 6 to 8 hours. A survival expert consulted during the inquest stated that the impact of falling into the water, coupled with the hazardous swells and rapid immersion, likely led to immediate incapacitation or drowning. Despite their ability to swim and the safety gear they brought, the conditions proved too harsh to handle. On December 1st, the official search for Victoria was called off. Still, her family and friends were determined not to give up. A GoFundMe campaign was launched to finance a private search, raising thousands of dollars within days. Loved ones and strangers alike donated in hopes of bringing closure to her mother, Rachel, who described Victoria as her only child and publicly expressed the heartbreak of accepting her daughter's presumed death. The coronial inquest, led by coroner Sarah Linton, concluded that Victoria had likely drowned while trying to save Jeffrey. The tragedy served as yet another reminder of the dangers of rock fishing along Australia's southern coast, where multiple fatalities have occurred in recent years. Despite their experience and preparation, Victoria and Jeffrey's final trip showed how quickly nature's power can overwhelm even the most cautious adventurers. To this day, their families continue to honor their memory and raise awareness about the risks of rock fishing, hoping that others might be spared the same heartbreak. In February 2025, at just 7 years old, Elianice Zoe Diaz Rodriguez was already living out a dream that most children could only imagine, racing her very own junior dragster on a professional track. But what began as a proud and joyful moment turned into a tragedy that has left a lasting impact on her community, her family, and the wider motorsports world. Elianice, a first-grade student at Eastland Christian School in Orlando, Florida, had celebrated her 7th birthday on January 30th. Bright, energetic, and full of spirit, she was a loving child with a deep affection for racing, Disney World, and animals, especially cows. To her family, she was a light at home, sometimes quiet in public, but full of personality behind closed doors. Her passion for junior dragster racing was supported by her family, including her mother, Cheryl Rodriguez, who shared her daughter's enthusiasm and documented many of their moments together on social media. On Sunday, February 2, 2025, Elianice participated in a Fun Day Sunday event at Orlando Speed World Dragway, a well-known motorsports venue in East Orange County. She was racing her custom white and orange junior dragster, which proudly displayed her name in blue lettering. This was not her first time at the track. She had trained for this, and regulations allowed children her age to compete under strict speed and safety guidelines. Junior dragster vehicles are limited to speeds of about 32 miles per hour for drivers aged 6 to 7, with mandatory safety equipment that includes helmets, gloves, fire suits, and head and neck restraints. As the event unfolded, Elianice was reportedly filming content as part of the day's experience, capturing the excitement and pride of her participation. But shortly before 11:20 a.m., something went terribly wrong. According to officials, she lost control of her junior dragster while racing on the 8th-mile track. Her car struck a 34-year-old track employee before crashing into a concrete wall. The employee sustained non-life-threatening injuries and was transported to Orlando Regional Medical Center. Elianice, critically injured, was rushed to Arnold Palmer Hospital for Children as a pediatric trauma alert. Emergency responders and hospital staff fought to save her life. For 2 days, her family and loved ones held on to hope. Vigils were held, prayers were live-streamed, and her mother posted frequent updates asking for continued support and strength. But on Tuesday evening, February 4th at 10:54 p.m., doctors confirmed that Elianice was brain dead. The child who had so recently been celebrating her birthday and chasing her dreams was gone. The Florida Highway Patrol and Orange County Fire Rescue treated the incident as an accident. The exact cause remains under investigation, but the event underscored the inherent risks of motorsport, even in categories designed specifically for children. While some in the racing community emphasize that junior dragster racing has maintained a strong safety record for over 2 decades, The tragedy led to renewed debate about the participation of very young children in high-speed competitive sports. The response from the community was immediate and heartfelt. Elianise's school released a public statement mourning her death, describing her as a bright light whose smile would be deeply missed. Grief counseling services were made available to students and staff. Orlando Speedworld also issued a statement expressing their sorrow and support, reminding the public of the passion that drives motorsports and the devastating toll it can sometimes take. In the days following her death, a GoFundMe campaign was launched on behalf of her family. It raised tens of thousands of dollars to cover funeral expenses and commemorate her life. Messages of condolence and support poured in from friends, family, and strangers alike. Many referred to her as a princess who had fulfilled her dream, even if only for a moment. The funeral service for Elianise was scheduled to be held the following week. As her loved ones prepared to say goodbye, they were left with the memory of a joyful child who lived with passion, courage, and the determination to chase her dreams, no matter how brief her time on the track may have been. At just 15 years old, Zachary Nazario was full of energy, curiosity, and ambition. A student at the Clinton School in Union Square, he was known for his love of history, athleticism, and plans to one day join the Marines. But on the evening of February 20th, 2023, a split-second decision made in pursuit of a viral thrill ended his life in the most devastating way. Zachary had become increasingly immersed in a dangerous online world. According to his mother, Norma Nazario, he had been exposed to a steady stream of content featuring teenagers performing risky stunts like subway surfing, riding on top of fast-moving trains. The videos, circulated widely on TikTok and Instagram, often glamorized the illegal activity, presenting it as thrilling and rebellious. Norma said Zachary had even received ads for ski masks, a common accessory used by those hoping to conceal their identities while filming such stunts. On that February day, Zachary and his girlfriend boarded a southbound J train in Brooklyn. As the train began crossing the Williamsburg Bridge, Zachary climbed between the subway cars and hoisted himself onto the roof, filming content for social media. His girlfriend remained below watching. As Zachary turned back to look at her, his head struck a low-hanging beam. The blow was sudden and violent, causing him to fall between the train cars. In the seconds that followed, he was run over by the moving train. Emergency responders pronounced him dead at the scene. Zachary was one of at least 5 individuals who died while subway surfing in 2023. The following year, the number of fatalities tied to the practice increased further, alarming officials and families alike. In the wake of his death, Norma searched through her son's phone and social media accounts, discovering the extent to which he had been bombarded by content glorifying dangerous behavior. She described it as an avalanche of algorithmically pushed videos that appeared to target him repeatedly. In February 2024, Norma filed a wrongful death lawsuit against TikTok, Meta, and the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, or the MTA. Her legal team argues that the platforms played an active role in pushing hazardous content to Zachary through algorithm-driven design, while the Transit Authority failed to prevent access to the train's roof. The suit claims the platform's recommendation engines goaded Zachary toward subway surfing by showing him videos of others participating in the trend, along with related gear. A Manhattan court ruled in June 2024 that the case against TikTok and Meta could proceed on negligence and product liability grounds, despite their attempt to invoke protections under Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. The court found that the platform's conduct may have gone beyond neutral hosting and into the realm of targeted promotion. Discovery in the case is now underway, with Norma's legal team investigating the extent of what the companies knew, how their platforms operated, and what steps, if any, they took in response to subway surfing deaths. The MTA was dismissed from the case, with the court citing that its role was limited to planning and financing, not operational control. Norma has vowed to appeal this decision, maintaining that the agency bears responsibility for not adequately securing the train cars against access to the roof. She argues that a simple warning sign is not enough to prevent such a foreseeable and deadly risk. Since Zachary's death, Norma has become a determined advocate for online safety. She supported the passage of the New York Child Data Protection Act and the Safe for Kids Act, both signed into law in 2024. The legislation restricts the use of children's personal data and limits algorithm-based content delivery for users under 18, unless parents provide explicit consent. But Norma and her attorney, Matthew Bergman of the Social Media Victims Law Center, believe litigation remains a critical tool for accountability. Norma continues to speak out, attending vigils and legislative events, channeling her grief into activism. Her message is clear. Her son's death was not just a tragic accident, but a predictable result of systems that prioritized engagement over safety. Zachary's story, she hopes, will be a wake-up call to an industry and infrastructure that must change.